What's up? We got Dexter season 2 recap. So this episode's so obviously done this before, done season 1, doing season 2. Obviously, I don't have the original videos, so that's why I'm doing them again. That's, as I said in my season 1 recap, I'm doing these again because I don't have the original videos, and once I'm done Dexter as a whole, I'd like to put these into a big compilation and release them on YouTube for everyone to see. So this is the start of the season 2 recap. So this season starts out with Dexter doing bowling because Dokes is now tailing him now. Dokes is now tailing him now because he thinks there's something up with Dexter. So Cody Astor. Cody is played by a new actor in this season. He was played by Daniel Goldberg in the first season, but now he's played by Preston Bailey in the second season, who portrays him for the rest of the series. Really weird that they decided to go through this. Was the child actor busy? Could they not get a child actor, the same child actor? Who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows, yeah. Nobody knows. So basically, Paul's like, hey Rita, did you ever find that shoe that Dexter lost? And she's like, nah, I didn't find it. And then he decides to call her later and say, hey, did you find that shoe? And she's like, okay, I found that. I found the shoe, but what does this have to do with Dexter? And he's like, hey, there's something might be up with Dexter. You better check this out. But she's like, me and Dexter are finally happy, and I'm not gonna let you ruin it. Bye. So Paul basically gets into an anger rage that causes into a prison fight where Paul dies. So, because Rita's like, Paul's dead, Dexter, and Dexter's like, oh? Like, okay, this guy's dead. I think that Dexter's like, she's like, Dexter, Paul's dead, because she's crying, but Dexter's like, because Dexter feels no emotion, she's like, okay, guy's dead, let's move on. It's kind of sad that Dexter has, so she's like, how's she gonna tell her kids? But then she starts to reveal, but then Rita starts to think, ooh, where does Dexter go every time? His office is closed. So where does he go every time? Where does he go every time that he's not with me? So she's like, Dexter, how did you get the heroin? How did you get the heroin into Paul's system? And he's like, I stole it from the storage locker. And she's like, you stole it from the storage locker? And she's like, Dexter, if you want this relationship to work, ask me one question. Do you have an addiction? Are you doing drugs? And he's like, yes, I have an addiction to killing, but she believes it's the drugs. So she's basically, thank you, Dexter. Now we're going to take you into every 5-step program, every 12-step program we can to get you off this addiction. So basically Deb is now living with Dexter now, because after her last boyfriend turned out to be the ice truck killer, and Dexter staged his death as a suicide when he killed him, she's kind of, done with dating. But that's when she meets a guy named Gabriel, and she basically is all in love with this guy. But that's when Frank Lundy comes into town, everyone. Frank Lundy is basically he wants Deb to join his task force. To hunt for Dexter, but they don't know it's Dexter. So basically, some sea divers found like a treasure body. Found Dexter's cut up bodies in the ocean. So they basically called Dexter the Bay Harbor Butcher. And So in the episode we meet this woman who's been her son was killed by little Chino. But then this next episode, she gets killed by little Chino. So Dexter kind of has this, since killing his brother, Dexter kind of has this like pause where he cannot kill. So he has this pause where he cannot kill. So he tries to kill little Chino, but then that fails. But he's finally able to get little Chino and kills him. So with the whole Rita getting on the 12-step program, that's where we see a girl eyeing him. And we learn this girl is named Lila. And she basically, helps Dexter understand his addiction to what she thinks is drugs. What she thinks is drugs, but it's really Dexter's kills. So, yeah. So, in episode 5, Dexter learns that the guy that killed his mom, Jimenez, is still in town. So he takes a little road trip with Lila to go to find Jimenez. But they end up spending the night in a hotel room together, where Lila reveals that she killed her last boyfriend in a fire with him still inside it. So basically Dexter's about to kill Jimenez when she thinks he's talking about how he's giving into addiction. She's like, "Don't, Dexter, don't give into your addiction, mate." So he basically lets Jimenez go and leaves. So Rhea's mom is in the show. Rhea's mom is now a main character, and she basically tells she's like, "Hey, Dexter, I know that since Paul's dead, who's this 12-step program for?" And he's like, "It's for Rita got him in." And she's like, he's like, "Stay away from the kids." But he's like, "Hey, I'm not like Paul." And she's like, if you want to do Rita, if you want to protect Rita, you'll stay away from her. So basically Dexter tells her that his mom basically thinks that he's dangerous, and she's like, "Yeah, she should." So they have Lila over for dinner, but then as Rita and Dexter are about to get to sleep, or do the banging, she hears the voicemail of Dexter, how Dexter and Lila spent the hotel night together, and Dexter doesn't even let Dexter explain what happened before Rita's like, "Dexter, we over, man. We're done. Get out." So then Rita's mom is happy knowing that her daughter is completely sad and that Dexter's out for life, and it's just like, this woman is crazy. So Dexter is angry and stuff. So he basically, this time he actually sleeps with Lila, and this causes Rita to be like, Dexter's like, "Hey, I understand." He's like, "Hey, the reason why we spent that hotel room together is because his mom was killed, and he wanted to kill the guy that killed her, but he wanted to go after the guy that killed her, and he's like, we didn't spend, and she's like, so you and Rita didn't spend so you and Lila didn't spend the night together." And he's like, "Not that night." So she's like, she puts two together, and it's like, "Leave, Dexter, we're over. You cheated on me with Lila, so we done." So basically, Dexter just goes on to date Lila due to death. Even Deb's annoying because she's like, "Dexter, how could you do that to Rita and her kids? Date this woman?" He's like, "Rita broke up with him. He has reason to date anyone he wants," which he does. And she's like, "Oh, Dexter, you're an idiot." So, which Dexter kind of does have the So he isn't a. He does have the opportunity to date anyone, but still, it is Lila. So it is Lila. So it's Lila. So yeah. So basically, so Deb's talking with her boyfriend until she discovers that he's writing a novel called The Ice Princess. So she breaks up with him because she thinks it's about her and the ice trick killer until she realizes it's a children's book. So they read it together, but then her boyfriend realizes that she doesn't really like him. She likes Lundy, and well, as I said in my recap for the review last time, I'm not a big fan of Lundy and Deb. Because one reason, 50-year-old man dating 26-year-old woman is strange, and I'm not a big fan. If Deb dated like anyone, but why'd you have to date Lundy of all characters? Like, as some people say, they like treated them as a father-daughter, like a father-daughter like relationship, it'll been fine. But them dating is it's just too strange and too disturbing for me. And I'm not a big fan of her relationship with Lundy. I gotta say it, I'm not a big fan of this. It's kind of one of the biggest Dexter season 2 moments that I didn't like about the show. That they just had, like, Deb was with Gabriel. He was good. He was a great guy. He was the same age as her. But then she randomly has feelings for Lundy, and it's just like, why Lundy of all characters? Even she states that they were like a father. Like a father-daughter relationship, and then immediately they just start dating. It's just so random and weird and disturbing. And I'm not, as I said in the original review for the season, I'm not a big fan of Lundy and Deb. I'm not one of those people who likes this relationship. Not one of those people. So again, Deb dates Lundy, and it's really, as I said before, I'm not a big fan of this relationship. If they stick to the father-daughter like relationship, like somewhat a father-daughter relationship, it would have been fine. But having them date, it's just so weird. It's not one of the. I feel like this is not one of the best Dexter moments. They could have had them be like a. But yeah, so Lila becomes a bit obsessive over Dexter a bit because when Dexter doesn't answer her call because he's listening to Cody's speech, she decides to burn down her entire apartment to basically keep Dexter by her side. But Dexter basically realizes, why is the light still on in a burned apartment? Because if the boat church caught on fire, why is the light still on? Yeah, Dex, but Dex still stays with her because, yeah, still stays with her. So, but then when Lila decides to break into Rita's house. That's when Dexter's like, this is enough. This Lila experiment is over. And basically breaks up with Lila saying, hey, you stay away from me. You stay away from my ex-girlfriend. And she's like, or what? Or you'll see the monster you're so afraid of. So, yeah. So then she just randomly starts dating Bautista out of nowhere. That's what happened. She's like, ooh, Dexter, I'm just gonna go for his best friend, Bautista. And yeah, so also Dexter's like, hey, it's time to get Dokes out of the way. So he basically decides to get Dokes into a fight with Dokes. So Dokes gets suspended, but Dokes breaks into Dexter's apartment and sees the blood slides. Dexter shows blood trophies. So he basically takes them, but they find them but the FBI find them in Dokes' car. So they're like, maybe Dokes is the ice truck killer. No, the Bay Harbor Butcher. I'm so confused on seasons. The Bay Harbor Butcher. And Dexter's like, okay, I guess I'll just frame Dokes for this. So yeah, so one night Dokes discovers that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher, and he's like, come on, Morgan, you're the Bay Harbor Butcher, and he's like, Yeah, wow, that is a terrible name. So they get into a weird fight where they both fall into the ocean, and Dokes gets captured by Dexter. And and then there's the shocking Harry reveal, where Harry, decides to Harry. There's a Harry reveal where Dexter decides to make Dokes fall asleep before he's like, hey, I know something about your father, but he gets unconscious before he can tell him. So Dexter decides to confront the friend of his adoptive dad, and he's like, hey, basically now Dexter, he basically says that Dexter, your dad didn't die by a heart disease. He killed himself, made it look like he died of heart disease. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah. So Dexter's like, maybe when he killed. So basically, it's Dexter. Dexter killed the guy that Harry was after. So basically, made Harry go over the edge and kill himself. So then Dexter's like, his dad's death is his fault. So yeah. So meanwhile, Lila decides to buy a rape drug to make it look like Bautista raped her, and is now pressing charges against Bautista. And Dexter's like, hey, why are you doing this to Bautista? And she's like, because Dexter, you're my soulmate, man. And I'm like, come on, she's insane. We already know she's a sociopath. There's something wrong with her. We already know. We don't have to say that she and Dexter are soulmates. So, yeah, she and Dexter are soulmates. Yeah. Yeah. So basically Lila's like, so Deb's like, hey, Lila, you're gonna drop the charges against Bautista, then you're gonna leave town. And then she drops the charges, but she doesn't leave town because so basically she discovers the cabin in the woods where basically Dexter finds Jimenez and uses the chainsaw that he used, the chainsaw that they used to kill his mom on Jimenez to kill Jimenez. And then Dexter used Jimenez's cabin as Dokes' lockup cabin. But then Lila finds that cabin, finds the cabin, and he's like, hey, Dexter's the Behar Butcher, and I'm the one who's tracking him. And she's like, poor him. And he's like, who? And he's like, me. He's like, not you, Dexter. He had to keep that secret for all that time. And she's like, I still love Dexter, so he's like, hey, let me go. And she's like, nah, we can't have that. I'm gonna kill you instead. And blows up, killing Dokes in the fire. So, yeah. So they find Dokes' dead body, but they basically think that Dokes knew he could cause the butcher, so he killed himself to not be caught. Yeah. But Lila now knows that Dexter's a Behar Butcher, and is like, hey, Dexter, we're both crazy. Let's run away together. But then Dexter's like, okay, but he's like, this is my final chance to take out Lila once and for all. But then Deb's like, hey, weren't you supposed to be leaving town? And he's like, yeah. And she takes a bag, which she thinks is hers, but then she finds Dexter's kill tools, and she's like, okay, Dexter's gonna kill her. So then she drugs Cody and Aster's babysitter, takes him hostage, and is going to burn her, Dexter, and Cody and Aster. Gonna burn Dexter, Cody, and Aster in a fire, but Dexter's able to push through. Kids are able to be saved, and Lundy wants to leave because now the Behar Butcher case is solved. He has to leave to go find another assignment, but Deb decides to choose her saving the kids over going with her boyfriend. So Lundy just goes by himself. Bye, Lundy. You and Deb's relationship was too creepy for my liking, and this was kind of disappointing. This probably wasn't the best. It felt like it was tying up loose ends, but we knew he'd come back because obviously 8 more seasons, but it's like the show didn't know that. But then, yeah, I think that the show knows it was gonna go for that long, because obviously it feels like it didn't. So and anyway, Dexter. So Dexter goes. So yeah. So Dexter goes to Dokes' funeral because Dokes was another guy that Dexter thought understood him, died because Dokes killed people when he was in the military, and Dexter kills people. So another person Dexter felt like he was close to, knew his secret, died, and everyone but Dexter, Maria, and Dokes' family goes to Dokes' funeral because it's basically because everyone still thinks he's the bear butcher, so it's like going to a funeral for a murderer. Then Bautista and Deb get awarded for for stopping the bear butcher, or who they think they stopped. And then Lila's in Paris going to her apartment, but that's when she gets a postcard from Dokes and Dexter, but doesn't make her. He bangs her so she can't move. So he's like, "Hey, thank you for making me who I am," and kills her to the heart. To end the season. I gotta say, this season was the best. I gotta give it a 6. It wasn't the best Dexter season. Lila was insane. The ending was meh. The ending was okay. The ending was, ooh, we gotta kill Lila because Dexter killed, and Lila wasn't that even good of a villain. She just turned villainous at the end because Dexter stopped paying attention to her. Okay, that's your reason for becoming a villain, because your boyfriend stopped paying attention to you. And I know that she said she killed her other boyfriends because with them inside. And Lila and Rita and Dexter get back together at the end, because we see one final shot of Rita. We see Rita and Dexter kissing, and they're like, I guess they're back together. And then we see Dexter and Rita chasing after Cody and Esther at the end. So we got Rita and Dexter back together. Lundy and Deb probably broken up because they were just not one of my favorite couples. They're just too weird. Why would anyone want to ship Lundy and Deb, of all characters? Lundy and Deb. Why would you want to ship them? I don't understand why you would want to. Why would you want to ship Lundy and Deb, of all characters? Of all characters. Yeah, Lila was crazy. She basically killed Dokes. R.I.P. Dokes. Dexter killed her. R.I.P. Lila. And we learn more about Harry, that Harry and Dexter's mom were having an affair or something, and yeah, we learned more about Dexter's mom, and Dexter's adopted dad and Dexter's mom were in some sort of relationship. And Dexter, yeah. Dokes was a pretty good villain. It's gonna R.I.P. Dokes, but he was a good villain. I enjoyed him. He was a good. Lila was the hateable villain that you didn't like, but Dokes was a good villain that you loved to hate, because obviously. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for more Dexter.